The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn gleamed under the sodium lamps like veins pulsing with the city's unspoken regrets. I stood there, drenched and defiant, my fist raised to knock on the door of a stranger who'd just become my lifeline, or my undoing. "You think you can just buy your way out of this?" His voice snarled from the shadows inside, raw and ragged, before the door even cracked open. His eyes met mine through the peephole first, storm gray, fractured like the thunder cracking overhead, and in that split second, I knew. This wasn't a transaction. It was a collision. The door swung open with a groan that echoed the ache in my chest, and there he was, Jax Harlan, all lean muscle and guarded fury. His dark hair plastered to his forehead from the downpour he'd clearly been ignoring. He was shirtless, a towel slung low on his hips, water droplets tracing paths down his tattooed chest like secrets he couldn't wash away. 5 years in the slammer had etched lines around his mouth that no 28-year-old should carry. But damn if they didn't make him look like he'd seen the ghosts of every bad decision New York could throw at you. "You're late," he said, not stepping aside. His voice a low rumble that cut through the patter of rain like a knife. No hello, no handshake. Just accusation. As if I'd already failed him. I wiped the water from my face. My leather jacket heavy as armor I wasn't sure I wanted anymore. "Traffic from Queens. And it's not like I signed up for this either, Harlan. You want out of that debt your old man left you? Fine. But we're doing it my way." He snorted, a bitter sound that twisted his lips into something almost like a smile. Stepping back, he let me in, the apartment swallowing me whole. A cramped one-bedroom in Bushwick that smelled of damp concrete and instant coffee. Posters of faded indie bands peeled from the walls, and a single bulb swung overhead, casting shadows that danced like unspoken accusations. This was his kingdom, bought with scraps from odd jobs after parole, but it felt more like a cage he'd built himself. I dropped my bag by the door, the weight of the paperwork inside it thudding softly. The deal was simple on paper. My family's construction firm, Harlan and Sons, no relation, was bleeding cash after Dad's heart attack 2 years back. Investors were circling like vultures, and the only way to keep the lights on was a green energy retrofit grant for low-income housing. But the city council wanted a diversity initiative angle. 2 partners, 1 straight-laced contractor, 1 reformed ex-con with a story that screamed redemption. Jax's old man had tanked our books with a gambling debt before croaking in a holding cell, leaving Jax to pick up the pieces. In exchange for playing the part, I'd wipe the slate clean. Partners. On paper. In public. Partners, he echoed, echoing my thoughts as he yanked on a faded Mets tee, the fabric clinging to his still damp skin. He leaned against the kitchenette counter, arms crossed, those gray eyes sizing me up like I was the next Mark. "You really think strutting around some ribbon-cutting like we're the poster boys for urban renewal is gonna fool anyone? Especially not when half the council knows I did time for boosting cars." I met his gaze unflinching. At 32, I'd stared down foremen twice my size and lenders with smiles sharper than switchblades. "It's not about fooling them. It's about the optics. You show up, look pretty and penitent, and I get the grant. You get your freedom. Win-win." He laughed then, a short, jagged bark that held no humor. "Pretty? That's rich, coming from the golden boy of Queens construction. What do they call you? The fixer? Yeah, I googled you, Ellis Kane. Straight-A Yale dropout turned family savior. Bet your board shorts hide a halo." The jab landed, but I swallowed the retort. Yale had been Dad's dream, not mine, until the scholarships dried up and Mom's medical bills piled like demolition debris. Now here I was bartering my name for survival and dragging a man who'd already lost everything into the muck with me. "Halo's optional. Coffee's not. You got any?" He jerked his chin toward the pot on the stove, black as midnight and twice as bitter. As I poured, he paced the linoleum, all restless energy, like a panther too long in a zoo. "Look, Kane, I didn't ask for this. Pops owed you Kane's 20 grand when he OD'd in lockup. I've been scraping plates at that diner on Nostrand to pay it down, 500 at a time. But when your lawyer shows up last week with this farce, figured why not? Better than another stretch inside." I sipped the brew, scalding my tongue. A fitting punishment for the lie we were about to live. It's not a farce if we sell it. First events tomorrow. Chamber of Commerce mixer in Manhattan. Suits, schmoozing, and a photo op where we announce the partnership. You in. He stopped pacing, close enough that I could smell the rain on him, mixed with something sharper. Resolve, maybe, or regret. His eyes flicked to mine, holding just a beat too long, and something electric hummed in the air between us. Not attraction, not yet, but recognition. Two guys from opposite ends of the bridge, both drowning, reaching for the same frayed rope. Fine, he muttered, turning away to grab a beer from the fridge instead. But ground rules, no touching unless the cameras demand it. No spilling my guts to your fancy friends. And when the grant hits, you sign over the forgiveness. Clean break. Deal. I extended my hand, and after a hesitation that stretched like taffy, he clasped it. His palm was calloused, warm despite the chill outside, grip firm enough to bruise. In that moment, as thunder rolled again over the burrows, I wondered if I'd just shaken hands with salvation or signed my own sentence. The next evening, the mixer was a glittering farce in a Soho loft. Exposed brick, craft cocktails, and influencers snapping selfies with councilmen who wouldn't know a hammer from a handbag. I navigated it like always. Charm on, anecdotes polished, my navy blazer tailored just enough to scream, approachable success. Jax arrived late, fashionably rumpled in chinos and a button-down that strained across his shoulders. His hair styled into something almost respectable. Heads turned, not just for the ex-con curiosity, but because he moved like he owned the shadows in the room, all quiet intensity. Ellis Kane, meet Jax Harlan, I said to the cluster of suits around the mayor's aide, my arm brushing his in a gesture that felt anything but casual. My new partner in turning Brooklyn brownstones into green havens. Handshakes rippled out, questions peppered like buckshot. Jax played his part, gruff nods, a wry smile when someone asked about his journey. Even a line about how second chances build stronger foundations that had the aide beaming. But under the table, his knee bounced, a tell I clocked immediately. When we broke for refills, he cornered me by the bar. This your idea of low-key? That guy's eyeing me like I'm Exhibit A in the Redemption Zoo. I handed him a ginger ale, no booze, per his parole terms, and leaned in, voice low. Breathe. You're killing it. One more photo and we're golden. The photographer corralled us against a window overlooking the Hudson, the city lights fracturing like diamonds on black water. Closer, gents, partners, right? Arm around the shoulder. Jax stiffened as my hand settled on his back, the heat of him seeping through the shirt. For the flash, we were perfect. Me with my easy grin, him with that brooding stare that screamed tortured artist. But as the crowd dispersed, he shrugged me off, murmuring, "Told you? No touching." "Sorry," I said, though the apology tasted like ash. Force of habit. He paused, glass midway to his lips, and for the first time his guard cracked, just a flicker. Yeah, well, habits get you in trouble. We didn't talk much on the subway back to Brooklyn, the train rattling like bones in a tin can. At his stop he stood, but lingered in the doorway. "Thanks for the out, Kane, even if it's pretend." "Call me Ellis," I said, the words slipping out before I could cage them. "And it's not all pretend. Not the part where we save each other." He nodded once and vanished into the night. Alone in the car, I pressed my palm to the spot where his back had been, feeling the ghost of warmth, and wondered how long I could pretend that was enough. The weeks blurred into a rhythm of blueprints and bull sessions, our partnership evolving from script to something stickier. Mornings at the site in Bed-Stuy, where we were demoing a row of derelict row houses for the pilot project. I'd sketch elevations while he wielded the sledge, sweat carving rivers down his arms. His laughs rare but real when a beam gave way just right. "See? Destruction's the easy part," he'd quip, wiping his brow with a forearm smeared in dust. "Rebuilding? That's where you earn the scars." Evenings were for strategy. Huddled over takeout in my Queens loft, bigger than his dive, but emptier, Mom's old quilt's the only softness left, or his place, where we'd pore over Grant apps by the flicker of that lone bulb. He opened up in fragments. Foster kid bounced around after his dad split. The joyride that landed him inside at 23. The letters from a sister he hadn't seen since she was 10. She writes from Reno now. Thinks I'm some hero. What a joke. You're not a joke, Jax, I'd say, passing him the last dumpling. You're the guy who shows up. That's more than most. One night, after a council hearing where we tag-teamed a pitch so seamless it earned a standing ovation, we celebrated with beers on his fire escape. The skyline smudged in summer haze, fireflies winking like distant stars. He clinked his bottle to mine, the Jax who'd first snarled at me softening into something unguarded. To fake it till we make it. Our eyes locked over the foam, and the air thickened, charged like the storm brewing out over Jersey. His knee brushed mine. Accidental then not, and neither of us pulled away. Ellis, he started, voice husky, but the thunderclap stole the rest. We laughed it off, retreating inside, but the seed was planted. By August, the touches lingered. A hand on my elbow steering me from a puddle, my fingers grazing his when handing tools. The grant loomed, decision in September, and with it, the end of our charade. But as the days shortened, so did the distance between us, until one humid evening, after sealing a supplier deal over rooftop tacos, he turned to me in the glow of string lights and said, "What if it's not fake anymore?" My heart slammed like a dropped load of rebar. I cupped his jaw, thumb tracing the stubble there, and pulled him in. The kiss was tentative at first, salt and lime and hesitation. Then fierce, his hands fisting my shirt as if afraid I'd vanish. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, the city humming approval below. "It's not," I whispered. "Not for me." For the first time, his smile reached his eyes. "Good, 'cause walking away now, that'd kill me." Little did I know, it almost did. Fall crashed into Brooklyn like a wrecking ball, leaves carpeting the sidewalks in crimson and gold, the air crisp with the promise of change. Our partnership had morphed into something undeniable. Late nights tangled in sheets that smelled of sawdust and sweat, mornings waking to his coffee breath and lazy grins. Jax fit into my life like a missing joist, steadying the sags I'd ignored for years. We'd cook spaghetti in my loft, arguing over sauce ratios while Sinatra crooned from the radio, or wander the promenade at dusk, his arms slung casual around my waist, the East River mirroring our reflections back at us. Two guys who'd beaten the odds, or so I thought. The grant came through mid-October, a fat envelope from City Hall stamped with approval. We celebrated at a dive bar in Williamsburg, neon buzzing Lucky's over the door. Shots of whiskey burning down our throats like liquid fire. To Harlan and Sons 2.0, I toasted, clinking glasses, my free hand finding his under the table, fingers interlacing like rebar in concrete. He leaned in, lips brushing my ear. "Nah, to us, the real deal." That night, back at his place, we made love slow and deliberate, the kind that etches souls. His whispers, "I got you, Ellis," always, wove into my skin, a tattoo deeper than the ink on his ribs. In the afterglow, sprawled amid rumpled sheets, he traced patterns on my chest, voice soft. "Never thought I'd get this. A guy who sees past the record." I kissed his temple, inhaling the musk of him. "I see you, Jax. All of you." But cracks spiderwebbed in, subtle at first. He'd vanish for hours after sights, claiming parole check-ins or diner shifts, his phone buzzing with texts he silenced quick. "Old buddies," he'd shrug, but his eyes skittered away, gray clouds gathering. I chalked it up to ghosts, his past clawing back. But when the first argument hit, it was over nothing. A forgotten toolbox, my offhand joke about reforming the bad boy. "You think this is funny?" he snapped, slamming the door to the bedroom, the echo rattling the windows. "Like I'm some project you're fixing up?" I followed, palms up. "Jax, come on." "That's not." But he was already pacing, fists clenched. "Everywhere we go, it's the ex-con and his savior. Your world, Ellis, not mine. I don't fit." "You fit with me," I said, stepping close. But he flinched back, the hurt in his eyes a fresh wound. We made up in the dark. Apologies murmured into skin, but the seed of doubt sprouted. November brought Thanksgiving, my first without Dad. Mom too frail for the holiday spread. I invited Jax to the family table in Queens, a modest affair with aunts and cousins crammed around turkey and yams. He showed, nervous as a stray cat, in a borrowed sweater that hung loose on his frame. "Don't know if I belong here," he muttered as we carved the bird. Mom, sharp as ever despite the oxygen tube, squeezed his hand. "Family's not blood, honey. It's who shows up." By pie, he was laughing at Uncle Ray's bad puns, his arm warm around my chair. Later, washing dishes side by side, he bumped my hip. "Your mom's a keeper. Like you." That warmth carried us into December, the city decked in twinkling excess. We strung lights on the site fence, the retrofit humming along, solar panels gleaming like promises. One snowy night, under the Williamsburg Bridge, breath fogging the air, I dropped to one knee with a ring I'd saved for. Simple silver, engraved with second chances. "Marry me, Jax. Make it forever." His face lit like the skyline, tears freezing on his lashes as he hauled me up, kissing me fierce. Yes, God, yes. The engagement buzzed through our circles, brunches with my crew, wary nods from his old contacts. But the shadows lengthened. I'd catch him on calls in the stairwell, voice low and urgent. "I can't, man. It's bigger now." Hanging up, he'd flash a smile too bright. "Wrong number." I pressed once, after a holiday party where he'd downed too many eggnogs and vanished to the balcony. "What's eating you, Jax? Talk to me." He stared out at the falling snow, jaw tight. "Just, the debt's paid, right? Grant's in. Maybe I should." "Should what?" My stomach nodded. "Nothing." He turned, pulling me close. "Forget it. Love you." But the words hung, a loose nail waiting to snag. Christmas Eve, we hosted a tree trimming at my loft, mismatched ornaments from thrift shops, Bing Crosby on the turntable. Jax was electric, stringing garland with a grin, but midway through, his phone lit up. Unknown caller. He silenced it, but not before I saw the text preview. "Deal's on. Midnight. Don't flake." "Everything okay?" I asked, tinsel dangling from my fingers. "Yeah, sister stuff. Lie smooth as glass." We pushed through, toasting with spiked cider, his laughter ringing true until it didn't. At 11, he claimed a headache, kissing my cheek. "Be right back. Quick walk for air." He didn't return. By 1 a.m., the party fizzled, guests murmuring goodbyes. I paced the loft, phone clutched like a lifeline, texts pinging unanswered. "Where are you, Jax?" Dawn crept in, gray and unforgiving, the tree lights mocking me with their cheer. At 7, my phone rang, dispatch from the site. "Boss, you gotta see this. Cops all over the yard." Heart in my throat, I raced across the bridge, tires slipping on black ice. The retrofit site was a circus. Yellow tape fluttering, cruisers flashing blue. Jax's truck idled crooked by the gate, door ajar. And there, in the mud churned by excavators, knelt Jax, cuffed, face bloodied, snarling at a uniform. "Get Ellis Kane. He's my alibi." The cop hauling him up glanced my way, recognition dawning. "That you, Mr. Kane? Your partner's been pinched for hot wiring the solar rig. Tools match the ones from that string of thefts upstate." My world tilted. "What? No, Jax." He met my eyes, raw devastation there. "Ellis, I swear. It's not." But the cuffs clicked tighter, and they shoved him toward the squad car. As it pulled away, sirens slicing the morning, I stood frozen, the ring box burning a hole in my pocket. Partners? We'd been partners. But this was betrayal, cold as the sleet starting to fall. Back at the loft, I tore through his duffel, the one he'd left half-packed as if he'd known. Tucked in a side pocket, a burner phone, texts from Vince. "Fence wants the panels by New Year's. Double cut if you deliver. Don't let the suit slow you." Suit, me. The pieces slammed together. The vanishing axe, The calls, the hesitation after the proposal. He'd played me not just for the grant, but deeper, to pay a debt to ghosts from his past, using our cover to skim materials, fence them for quick cash. The ex-con redemption story, bait, our love, collateral, rage-boiled, hot and blinding. I hurled the phone against the wall, shards scattering like my trust. Hours blurred into numb calls, lawyer, mom, bail bonds. By nightfall he was out, parole violation pending, but the evidence thin without a full sweep. He showed at my door, bruised and hollow-eyed, rain sheeting off his coat. Ellis, listen. Get out. My voice cracked. A stranger's. You used me. For what? To line pockets of guys who'd sell you out tomorrow. He flinched but didn't deny. Vince, he's from inside, said if I didn't help move the gear, he'd go after my sister. Photos, threats. I thought I could skim just enough. Keep it small. Liar. The word tasted like bile. You proposed. Said forever. Tears tracked his cheeks, mixing with the rain. I meant it. Every word. But I couldn't drag you down. Too late. I slammed the door, the thud echoing my fracturing heart. Through the peephole, I watched him crumple against the hall wall, shoulders shaking. Then gone. Footsteps fading down the stairs. Days bled into weeks, the sight stalled. Grant jeopardized by the scandal. Mom called, voice gentle. He loves you, Ellis. Broken people break things. Doesn't make it right, but it doesn't erase the good. I wanted to believe her, but the hurt festered, a rot in the foundation. New Year's Eve, alone on the rooftop with a bottle of bourbon and the city exploding in false revelry. I scrolled old photos. Us under the bridge, ring glinting. The betrayal stung, but beneath it, a deeper ache. The loss of the man I'd glimpsed, the one who'd whispered promises in the dark. A knock shattered the fireworks. Jax, gaunt and shivering in a threadbare jacket, eyes pleading. One chance. Please. Against every instinct, I let him in. January clawed in with a vengeance. Winds howling off the Atlantic, whipping snow into blizzards that buried the boroughs under white veils of isolation. The loft felt cavernous without Jax's clutter. His work boots by the door, the half-read Kerouac on the nightstand. I'd banned him after the arrest, but that night on the rooftop, vulnerability cracked my resolve. He spilled it all, huddled on the couch with mugs of tea steaming between us like fragile peace flags. Vince was a ghost from Sing Sing mid-level fence with a network-spanning jersey to the Keys, preying on parolees with jobs that were traps. Jax's debt wasn't just his dad's. It was layered, a web of favors owed from inside, where survival meant alliances forged in desperation. First it was small, deliver a package, look the other way on a drop. Then the sight. The panels were easy marks. High value, low trace. I told myself it was temporary, till I could ghost him. But the proposal? My voice was raw, scraped hollow. Was that part of the con? He recoiled as if slapped. No. God. Ellis, no. That was the wake-up. I saw a future, us, and panicked. Tried to end it with Vince that night, meet him to cut ties. He roughed me up, planted the tools to frame me. Forced my hand. Evidence backed him. The lawyer dug up texts, timestamps aligning with a scuffle reported blocks away. Vince's prints on the truck bumper, a warrant out for him on unrelated priors. The DA cut Jax slack, cooperation for leniency, community service folded into the retrofit. But trust? That was rubble needing rebuild from scratch. We tiptoed back, cohabitants more than lovers. Shared meals in silence, touches tentative as blueprints sketched in pencil. The site thawed with spring, crews hammering under our watch. Me barking orders, Jax quieter, proving himself with 16-hour days, mentoring the apprentices who'd eyed him wary post-scandal. Show him how it's done, he'd say, demonstrating a clean weld, sparks flying like defiant stars. One April afternoon, rain sluicing the girders, a beam shifted wrong. Loose rigging from sabotage, whispers later confirmed as Vince's parting shot. Jax shoved me clear as it buckled, the crash deafening, dust choking the air. I surfaced coughing, heart seizing, him pinned under twisted metal, leg gashed bloody. Jax! I scrambled over debris, hands trembling as I braced the beam, crews swarming. Hold on. His grin was weak, blood-flecked. Told you, habits get you in trouble. Medics hauled him out, sirens wailing to Kings County. I rode shotgun in the ambulance, gripping his hand, the sterile lights blurring through tears. Don't you dare leave me. Not now. In recovery, leg stitched and elevated, he looked small against the beeping monitors, vulnerable, the armor stripped. Mom arrived with flowers, fussing like he was her own. Fool boy, she chided gently, scaring us half to death. When she left, alone in the dim, he pulled me down, voice a rasp. I'm sorry, Ellis, for all of it. The lies, the risk. I thought I was protecting you, us, by handling it solo. Stupid. I traced the bruise blooming on his jaw, thumb gentle. Partners don't solo, Jax. That's the deal. He nodded, tears spilling. Then teach me how to be the guy who deserves you. Rehab was brutal, crutches clacking through the loft, physical therapy sessions that left him cursing in sweat-soaked shirts. I was there for everyone, massaging knots from his calf, whispering encouragement when frustration boiled over. Nights, we'd collapse on the couch, his head in my lap, fingers combing his hair as he dozed to documentaries on sustainable builds. The betrayal scar faded. Not gone but scarred over, stronger. By June, the pilot project ribbon cut. A block of row houses reborn, solar arrays humming, low-income families moving in with keys in hand. Cameras flashed as we snipped the tape, Jax's arm around my waist. Real this time, no pretense. To second acts, he murmured, lips brushing my temple for the microphones. But Vince's shadow lingered. July heat wave, the city simmering like a pot about to boil over. Jax got a call from Reno, his sister, Lena, voice trembling. Some creep showed up at my door, asking about you. Said you owed protection money. Vince, out on bail, circling like a shark scenting blood. We beefed security at the site, but paranoia crept in. Flat tires I swore weren't accidents, shadows in alleyways. One night, after a tense dinner where Jax barely ate, he pushed his plate away. I gotta end this, Ellis. For good. No. I grabbed his wrist. We, together. Cops, lawyers. Can't risk you. His eyes burned. If he comes for me, fine. But you? Our life? No. The argument escalated, voices echoing off brick. You don't get to decide that alone, I shouted. That's what broke us last time. He stormed out, door slamming like a gunshot. Hours ticked by, my texts unread. At 3 a.m., a call from an unknown. A warehouse in Red Hook, coordinates pinned. Come alone or the sister pays. Heart pounding, I grabbed keys, no time for plans. The drive was a blur, fog rolling off the harbor like ghosts. The warehouse loomed, rusted hulk by the piers, waves lapping indifferent. Inside, fluorescence buzzed harsh, casting long shadows. Jax, bound to a chair, mouth bloodied, Vince's goon cracking knuckles beside him. Ellis? Jax rasped, relief and horror twisting his face. You shouldn't. Vince stepped from the gloom, wiry and sneering, a .38 glinting in his belt. Hero complex, huh? Kane, the fixer. Your boy's been a thorn, but you're the leverage. He monologued then. Old scores, prison grudges, how Jax's softening made him unreliable. Thought I'd clip the wings. Send a message. Rage surged, but I played cool, hands visible. Let him go, Vince. Whatever he owes, I'll cover. Cash, clean. Vince laughed, cold. Too late. This is personal. He nodded to the goon who advanced, fist raised. Jax thrashed against ropes. Run, Ellis. The shot rang out, not from Vince but sirens piercing the night. Tires screeched outside, boots pounding. Feds swarmed. Tip from Lena's neighbor, Jax's burner traced earlier. Chaos erupted. Vince tackled, goon cuffed, Jax freed in a flurry of medics. In the ambulance, Side by side, monitors beeping in sync, he squeezed my hand. You came. Partners, I said, kissing his knuckles. Always. Vince's empire crumbled. Arrests rippling through his network, Jax's testimony sealing it. August brought quiet. Lazy Sundays in Prospect Park, picnics with Lena visiting. Her hug fierce as she whispered, "Thank you for saving him." But the climax lingered in fractures. Nightmares jolting Jax awake. My own flinches at shadows. One night, under a harvest moon, we drove to the old site. The first job where we'd met, now thriving with families' laughter spilling from windows. Sitting on the stoop, stars pricking the smog, he turned to me. I almost walked, after the proposal. Thought I was poison. I pulled him close, heartbeat steady against mine. You walked toward me. That's what matters. He nodded, breath warm on my neck. Marry me still? For real. The ring, repaired and resized, slid home. Yes. Autumn deepened, painting the city in hues of amber and rust, a canvas of forgiveness. The wedding was small. Backyard affair in Mom's Queen's garden. September sun filtering through maple leaves like blessings. Jax in a simple black suit, tie crooked until I fixed it. His smile shy as vows exchanged under an arch of wildflowers. I promised to show up, he said, voice steady. Scars and all. To build with you, not despite the breaks, but because of them. Lena stood witness, tears streaming, and Mom officiated with a notary's stamp and her unshakable faith. Cousins hooped as we kissed, confetti swirling. The air alive with jazz from a portable speaker. No fanfare, no press. Just us, raw and real, sealing the deal in laughter and cake crumbs. The retrofit expanded, Harlan and Sons a beacon now. Grants flowing for eco-homes in the outer boroughs, apprentices lining up, stories of second chances rippling through op-eds. Jax thrived in the foreground, speaking at panels on reentry, his gravel voice weaving pain into power. Jail doesn't define you, he'd say to packed rooms, my hand in his under the podium. It's what you build after that does. But healing wasn't linear. October brought anniversaries. 1 year since the grant, the kiss under the bridge. We marked it with a drive upstate. Cabin rented by a lake ringed in fog. Evenings by the fire, he'd sketch designs on napkins. Dreams of a nonprofit, housing for ex-cons starting over. Your brain, my brawn, he'd tease, head on my shoulder. Nights, though, the dark pressed. Vince's trial loomed, subpoenas dredging memories. Jax would wake gasping, fists swinging at phantoms, and I'd hold him through it, murmuring, here, now. One storm-lashed evening, thunder rumbling like old threats, he broke. I keep waiting for the other shoe, he confessed, curled against me, rain lashing windows. Like you'll wake up, see the mess I am, and bolt. I tilted his chin, eyes locking. The mess is mine too, Jax. We're both patched, cracks filled with gold, like those Japanese pots. Stronger for it. He searched my face, then kissed me slow, a reclamation. How'd I get so lucky? Dumb luck, I grinned. And a rainy night in Brooklyn. Thanksgiving circled back, fuller now. Lena staying a week, her Reno stories filling gaps. Mom beaming as Jax carved the bird with practiced ease. Family, he said, passing plates, the word no longer foreign on his tongue. Winter whispered in with the first snow, blanketing the city in hush. The trial came and went. Vince buried under 30 to life, Jax's words from the stand a quiet thunder. He preyed on the broken, but breaking doesn't mean staying down. Cheers erupted as we left the courthouse, reporters clamoring, but we slipped away to a diner on Flatbush. Greasy spoons and pie, his hand in mine across vinyl. By New Year's, the loft brimmed, photos on shelves, us at graduations, Lena's nursing pin, site launches, lazy beach days in Coney. The betrayal? A scar, faded to silver, a reminder not of fracture, but fusion. Yet life, American as apple pie and traffic jams, through curves. Spring revealed Mom's cancer back, aggressive this time. We rallied, Jax driving her to chemo, me juggling bids. Lena flying in monthly. In the hospital's sterile glow, he'd read to her from dog-eared westerns, voice steady as her hand weakened in his. "You're my boys," she'd whisper, eyes bright. Built each other up. She passed in June, under a sky bruised purple, holding court till the end with stories of Dad's misadventures. The funeral was a block party of sorts. Workers from the sites, neighbors with casseroles, laughter mingling with tears. Jax eulogized, words simple. She saw people, not problems. Taught us to do the same. Grief hollowed us, but we filled it together. Nights on the fire escape, sharing silences, days pouring energy into the foundation we'd named for her. Kane Harlan builds, free renos for families in crisis. Summer solstice, 1 year married, we returned to the rooftop where he'd proposed. Fireworks bloomed over the harbor, echoes of that chaotic New Year's. Jax pulled an envelope from his jacket. Deeds to a plot in the Hudson Valley, blueprints enclosed. Our place, away from the grind. Room for Lena's visits. A garden like your mom's. I kissed him, salt tang of sweat and joy. Perfect. As stars wheeled overhead, the city a distant hum, I thought of that rainy night. The door opening to a stranger who'd upend my world. Betrayal had nearly shattered us, but from the shards, we'd forged something unbreakable. Not just love, but partnership, in every sense. Human, flawed, resilient, like America itself, stitched from dreams deferred and redeemed. He leaned into me, breath sinking. "No walking away? Never," I murmured. "We're home." And in that, the deepest romance. Two men, debts paid not in cash but in courage, building a life where second chances weren't endings, but beginnings.